if the fundamental problem is a problem of ignorance, the quickest solution is knowledge. We are back with another reflection on the Daily Vedantic. Today's reflection, this one's going to be short and sweet. Conventionally within this philosophy, attachment is seen as the root of our suffering. Attachment, desire, and this is great parallel to the Four Noble Truths from the Buddha. The second noble truth, the root of all suffering is desire. And many Vedantins are called crypto-Buddhists. Many Buddhists are called crypto-Vedantins. It's getting at the same truth within both of these traditions. Every major tradition is getting at the same truth. The Rig Veda famously said, truth is one, sages call it by many names. But this philosophy will go a step further and say that, and technically speaking, according to this philosophy, the root of our suffering isn't attachment, it is ignorance. The root of our suffering is ignorance. Ignorance of what is. Ignorance of who we are, what we are. The concept of Maya, the illusion, the superimposition, the misperception of what's really going on, of what really is, with an ignorant delusion laid on top. It's like a mirage in the desert. You think there's water there, you perceive it. You're certain there's water right over there. I just got to walk towards it. And then it eludes you because, well, our perceptions in the mundane, with regards to the profound, our perceptions mislead us. That's what this philosophy says. Why is that important? It's important because this philosophy prioritizes knowledge as the quickest path to the divine. It's the quickest path to liberation, to freedom. And everything else that we pursue, wealth, power, fame, relationships, everything else is a misguided pursuit of what we really want deep down, and that is freedom. And tune in tomorrow because I'm going to talk about what kind of freedom we crave. Because there's a specific kind. But for now, general freedom will do. Freedom from suffering, freedom from pain, freedom from limitation, restraint. That's what we want. That's our pursuit, the spiritual or the profane. We are pursuing freedom. And the constraint from that freedom, the obstacle from that freedom, it's not in form, according to this philosophy. It is actually an obstacle of ignorance, of awareness. This philosophy, Vedanta, says that our natural state is infinite freedom. And we're caught up in samsara, these knots of ignorance, of misperception, misguided pursuits of freedom. And they create these knots around us that bind us, that tie us up. Like the dreamer in the dream that's convinced that the world that they've created, completely projected and manifested, is real, that they're caught up in whatever drama is in that dream. This philosophy says, when you wake up, you realize none of it was happening. That everything that you tried to lean on that you thought was solid wasn't real at all. The reason it's important to call out that the root of all of our suffering is ignorance, because the antidote to our ignorance is knowledge. There are as many paths to God as there are people on earth, and you can get to this awareness through devotion, through acts of service. You can get to it through an infinite number of proportions between action and service, devotion, knowledge, awareness. And we do need all three of these. We need action. We need service. We need devotion to a practice, to a philosophy, to a guru. Many of us need these things, but ultimately what liberates us faster than anything else, according to Vedanta, is jnana yoga, the yoga of knowledge of who we are. If the root of our suffering was actual, real prison bars, knowledge won't free us. You either need a lot of strength or the right key. But if our imprisonment is an illusion, that those bars don't exist, but we're convinced they do, that those constraints don't exist, but we're convinced that they do. If our imprisonment is an illusion, a lack of awareness, an ignorance, that those bars aren't even there in the first place, then it is knowledge, awareness, wisdom, waking up from that misperception that frees us. So that's not only the root of all of our suffering, our ignorance of not knowing who we truly are, what we truly are, according to this philosophy. But it's also the key to why knowledge is so important. As one of my teachers, Joseph, would say, it's like the G6. Out of all of the paths you could take to get to a destination 10,000 miles away, you could walk, you could row a boat, or you could take the G6. If the fundamental problem is a problem of ignorance, the quickest solution is knowledge. Specifically, knowledge of the self and who you are. That's today's reflection on the Daily Vedantic. We'll see you next time.